Hey guys, welcome back. Let's get started. Right, so this version, last week we saw that the market indeed did hold these lows at 4119, and then we had a move upwards, right? We broke through this downturn resistance, which we had this dotted line, and as soon as we broke that, we've, kind of just had a bullish follow through to the upside, right? So I still think, right, this could potentially be a fake breakout that, results in lower, right? I will personally be watching for a rejection at 4490. This high at 4463 can also, kind of be the high of the C wave because A equals to C, right? But I can also see it push to this, previous volume shelf at 4490 as a potential area of another, area where this ABC in the next wave gets completed and we sell, to the bottom of this trend line. So that is still my primary case. But we have been, discussing this scenario, right? I initially had this as an expanded flat, but I have modified it a little more where I consider the wave A to end at Feb 23rd, right? And in this, you can see the 1.23 fib, as I mentioned, was at 4490. That could be a potential area where market rejects. A break over 4490 is a direct line to, 4605. So the market definitely, can push the upper boundaries, right? We could go back to retest this area that we broke down from previously, right? We could push all the way up there. So that is still the bull and bear case, right? That we've been monitoring. I just changed it slightly. And this is my bear version where a rejection here would take it back to the lows. So let's go through this week's playlist, right? The first thing I have is XOM calls. The reason for that is I still think, oil has one more wave to the upside, and XOM is certainly, a stock that I think if oil follows through, then XOM is likely to make a big move. So a break over, 81, 81.62, right? If it clears this area, then I think it could easily hit 86, right? And if this is a wave 5, then we're likely going to make a new all-time high at, 95. So that's what I kind of have for XOM, right? You can see I have, calls over 81, target 85.90, right? Stop at 78, give it 3 to 4 weeks. The next thing I have for the watch list is CAT, right? I think if CAT, let's go to the daily chart. If CAT, breaks over this resistance at 222, 294-ish, then I think CAT as well, right? It's also in a wave 5. And I think it's going to, move upwards for the fifth wave, right? This is your A, this is your B, this is your C. Yeah, so as I was saying, right, I think if CAT breaks over, the main break that they would need is 228, right? But as it starts, you can see on the daily chart, it's gotten over its 200 days. So as it starts to get over 222, I do think, CAT is in the fifth wave. Ultimately, this would be the most important break, right? 228, 230 is the area it needs to get out of to hit, 250 and 278. I think CAT does. And this is what I have for CAT, right? In 4 to 6 weeks, I think it can hit 250, 275, given that it breaks over these resistance levels. So that's the reason I have CAT calls on the watch list. The next stock I have on the watch list is Baidu, right? And the reason for that is on the 30-minute chart, right? You can see that you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves to the upside, right? So any pump here likely, can just fill this gap before it goes lower. But I think at minimum rate, 129 will be tested. But I personally think this gap, is going to get filled before Baidu, goes in a new impulse up. This is if you assume that this is the new impulse structure, right? And then Baidu filling this gap would, continue the impulse structure for a wave 3. But Baidu, right, if you go to a longer time frame, like the weekly chart, you'll, kind of be able to see that Baidu, like if I zoom out, you can see that this is since 2006, this is the wave 1, this is the wave 2. So the most recent high that Baidu had at 356 is actually where, Baidu made a new all-time high. So I personally think this entire sell-off is a wave 4. So we know that wave 4s end where previous wave 4s have ended, right? Which is at about like 81, 82, which is why I think Baidu still has another leg lower. But you can see both the bull and bear versions, right? This is not even bear, right? the bear in a long-term bull, right? You can see Baidu is, kind of headed lower, whether you're bullish or bearish, it needs to come lower before it can make a move to the upside. So that's the reason I have Baidu puts below 142.76. My targets are 134, 124, 113 ultimately fills a gap right by enough time. And if Baidu can break over 150, then I would, kind of rule this chart invalid. Also, something I kind of want to mention is that I do, as I mentioned, have lower targets such as 80. So it's up to you, right? If Baidu does follow through, like in a for another leg lower in a wave 4. If China stocks have not bottomed, you can certainly, hold your puts and trade your stop losses. So it's up to you, right? I think 113, obviously it is going to bounce, right? If it goes to fill this gap, it will have a bounce. So you can always, reshort the next bounce if you believe in this bear version. So that's what I have for Baidu. The next one I have is Neo. So let's go through Neo, right? For Neo, yeah, this is my chart for Neo. Start this. This is the downtrend line for Neo, right? On the 30-minute chart. If I zoomed out, you can see that. Okay, let's go to a higher time frame. On the 2-hour chart, if I zoomed out, you can see that this blue trend line that I have drawn, right, has acted as resistance and has made a lower low every time we've hit that trend line, right? And you can see when we hit this trend line, we did have that reaction lower, and I was just, retracing 50% of the reaction. So I do think that this trend line will hold this resistance, and it could go back. You can see if I zoom out, this green trend line has acted as support, right? So at minimum, right, whether you're a bull or bear, same as Baidu, right? Neo could kind of make this inverse head and shoulders before it goes to the upside. So, which is why I think Neo at minimum, will kind of come to 18.5, although I do have lower targets like 15.95, because I think it will break that low and go fill this gap at $9, right? You have to, kind of be on the watch out for, possibly, coming lower, making it inverse head and shoulders before it goes higher. So at minimum, I think this trend line at 18 and the inverse head and shoulders kind of fall 17.7. So that's still, like a 16% move to the downside. So it does not have to hit all my targets, right? So whether you're bull or bear, I still think Neo will come to retest this area. So a 16% move is something you can, capitalize on as long as this high at 2164, holds. Neo can certainly come to the downside. So that's the reason I have Neo puts on the morning briefing, right? The next stock I have is actually Mrna as well, right? For me, again, you can see that bigger picture we have broken down from this long channel. Mrna has been in, right? And this entire thing was a wave 3, and I think we're, finishing a wave 4. So if Mrna can, break back below, let's say 179, right? I think that this wave 4 will result in a lower low at, again, this is the most extreme case chart I have drawn, right? At minimum, I think 126 will be tested, right? For me, my targets are 155, 140, right? And my stop is less than 185, 190 is kind of where I think if it, tends to at max 199, if it breaks over this fib level, then it can go to retest like 247. So that's the bull version of Mrna. But if this area, holds as a wave 4 high, then Mrna certainly has a lot of room to the downside, especially given that it has broken its long-term channel. So that's the reason I have Mrna, on the wave list this week. The next stock I have is JP Morgan, right? And again, same for JP Morgan, as long as it stays below this fib level of 140.4, I think JP Morgan will, again, same wave 5 sell-off, same as Mrna, come to the downside. My targets are 137, 132. Give it 3 to 4 weeks, and I think this gap here will get filled. So that's why I have JP Morgan puts as well on the briefing. And the last one I have, right, is gold. Although I do think gold, can make a new high. I feel like whether you're a bull or bear, right, gold is due for a counter trend bounce, which is why I think 183 and 185 are the targets that I have listed here will, get tested. So that's the bull version. I mean, this ABC is still, the bear version for gold, right? The bull version would have, gold having a massive rally all the way to new all-time highs. But I think whether you're a bull or bear, gold should, go retest 185 at least before it comes back lower. So that's what I got for this week's, watch list. And thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week.